All right, let's talk about the situation facing John Morant. He was playing basketball, a pickup game, on a basketball court behind his mansion in Eads with a 17-year-old, and some others were there too, apparently. They got into a scuffle. This happens when guys play basketball, first of all. And apparently there was a confrontation, and Ja hit the guy, hit the 17-year-old. Mom files a lawsuit. First, it's investigated by the DA's office. The DA's office says nothing here, at least not enough evidence to pursue this criminally. But there is a bigger litigation now, a civil litigation that we don't know for how much, but Ja's being sued over this. And Otis, you're such a big Grizzlies fan. I want you to take this first. I mean, I'm not surprised that two guys would get into a scuffle on a basketball game. I'm also not surprised that someone would go after a multi-million-dollar athlete who might have been involved.
No question about it. All those things are true. Hey, look, I started playing basketball when I was like 7 or 8 years old and did it all the way up to my late 40s until my wife made me put it down. And my only fights I ever had in my life were on the basketball court. That's where people, the competition is there. So I don't think there's much to this at all. You're absolutely right. Somebody sees a payday here because of John Morant just signed on an almost $200 million contract. The only problem that I see with this, I'm on Ja's side, as most people would be. The only problem I see with this is we still don't have enough information from that lawsuit. It has been sealed in circuit court, and as someone who covered the courts for many years as a newspaper reporter, I take a dim view of sealing things unless there is a really, really strong reason to do so. And I don't think a fight at the basketball court is a reason to seal a lawsuit. So I want to get that lawsuit unsealed so we can see what happened. But overall, this is much ado about nothing, and John Morant is going to go on and do what he does. If this young man gets any money, then so be it. But that's all this is.
Well, it's not affecting his play. We know that much.
No.
He's doing very well. So, Chris, tell us from a legal perspective, as you look at this case, how, I think most people in the public who are pretty forgiving of different situations and understand what's really going on will look at this and say, sounds like the 17-year-old's family is wanting to get a payday. And how do you, as a lawyer, pursue a case like this when you know that's really the motive here? I mean,
you hear about nuisance lawsuits, right, where people pay money just to make a lawsuit go away. Maybe that's what they're thinking. It sounded like from the report that we saw that this individual, the plaintiff, the 17-year-old, was actually the aggressor. He was the instigator. I agree with Otis. One, I don't know why this is sealed. That my understanding is consistent with yours. Two, this is a non-story. And three, Ja's a young guy. He's 22 years old. I think a lot of us, even now, as mature adults, we look back at times we were provoked and maybe we regret overreacting. This, TMZ grabbed this because he's a superstar. It's a sexy story. I think it's overblown.
Yeah. Tawan?
Well, there are a lot of lessons that you probably should have learned at home or grade school. Pick your friends carefully, know who you're inviting to your home, and try to keep your temper. And the last but not least, keep your hands to yourself and your balls too.
Okay, I think we have to agree with you on that. But probably a lesson for Ja, regardless of how culpable he is in this, that because of who he is and because of how much he makes, there will always be opportunists coming after you.
Yeah, and that's why he's got to pick people he associates with carefully. And he has to have people with him who will calm him down quickly if he has a problem with anger management. I don't know this, but I assume, I've never played basketball on the court, but I've seen a lot of street ball, and I've never seen a street ball game that didn't end in some kind of little
tiff.
Yeah. So that's to be.
That's right.
It's a mixed metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a mixed sports metaphor.
But if you throw a ball on my head in an aggressive play, I think there is a tendency to react.
Like I said, keep your balls to yourself.
Keep your balls to yourself.
Okay, Otis, one other issue we didn't address, and that is how this was released. So TMZ broke the story, not a local media outlet, and then when we all tried to confirm it independently, getting just the incident report number from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office took several days.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Right.
We still have this mentality in this town sometimes of protecting certain folks because of who they are or whatever, rather than just get it out there.
I just think that is, again, it's outrageous. You know, we should not be playing favorites with people, no matter who they are. Again, I love John Morant. I've got 3 John Morant jerseys in my house, 4 now since Christmas. And
He might send you another.
right.
Not tonight.
But nobody deserves to be treated special in cases like this. This is not a big deal. Why are you hiding stuff like this? So no, put the information out there. But again, I'll go back to the media. You know, if we had dedicated beat reporters covering the courthouse
That's
who
right.
developed sources, we would have learned the story back in September that somebody was filing a lawsuit. That's what beat reporters are supposed to do. So we don't have that these days, and that's unfortunate.
Well, in these times of tight budgets, you're right, we don't. And that is somewhere where local media could definitely stand to be improved. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I want to thank all my panelists here for being here, and you at home as well. We'll see you next week for ABC 24 This Week.